I really want to play this game with you. Back to school staff stories. There's a guy on our staff. I was shocked by this. One of the guys we work with every day masturbated in his Spanish class. He was never caught, and he would complete in his pants. He'd come in his pants during Spanish class.
In the classroom.
If you're playing at home, this involves Baba Booey Gary, Jason, Richard, Mike Perlman, Steve Nowicki, Sal, Chris Wilding. Those are the list of people from our staff, and you have to guess.
Immediately when you say something like masturbating in public, I have to think Sal. But then you throw in Spanish class. Was Sal allowed in a classroom where they taught a language?
I think Sal, I think Sal probably was in a class where he had to take all remedial studies. I don't think they, like he was getting ready for BOCES. Spanish wasn't a requirement for him to graduate.
Right.
One of these people used to masturbate in Spanish class.
He masturbated in class to full completion.
And he's a smart guy. He was never caught, and he completed in his pants.
I'm going to say Jason.
Wow. You are right.
Damn it. It's been harder, Rob.
Dude, that's something Sal would do. How do Spanish class was the only thing that threw it off. We knew Sal didn't need to.
You out-creep me, you slob. Robin de very bueno. It was once, by the way.
No pun intended. Did you hear that? I said, how'd you pull that off? Thank you. I just want to say.
It was once. It was not multiple times. I was absolutely disgusted with myself and grossed out.
Sure.
But yeah, I was sitting in the back of this class. I had just moved. I didn't know anybody. I don't remember what I was thinking about. I had a boner, and then just flicking it, and then I don't know. Somehow my hand ended up under my pants, and then I'm like, I think I can get away with this. Like, I just remembered that was the thought. And then I did, and then it was over. And I was.
Did you have a big stain in your pants?
Yeah, no, I had to run. I had to wait to go to the bathroom in the class. I mean, the whole thing was humiliating. But I was so ignored in high school, especially those years that I probably could have walked down the hall with a big giant coming down my pants and nobody would have even noticed.
Yeah, it's weird. I was kind of invisible too. I wasted valuable years of not jerking off in school because I don't think anyone would. I mean, it's a terrible thing to jerk off in class and realize nobody cares that you're there.
Like you're invisible. Get caught, nobody notices.
A friend of mine jerked off in art class. He thought nobody noticed, but everybody could tell just the look on his face and like the motion that he was doing.
You got to learn to. You got to
polish.
I keep a straight face when I jerk off. I came 3 times during the show today. See if you can find what place it was. One of these guys sprayed a substitute teacher with a fire extinguisher.
Sprayed a substitute teacher with a fire extinguisher.
That's a crime.
That's some gangster shit.
Another crime.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's Mike.
No, it's Steve Nowicki. Steve, what's up with that story?
Steve!
It's the stupidest thing I've probably ever done in my life. I didn't think anything would spray out of it because they usually, I thought they had a safety pin in it, and I didn't think it would spray. But it was right before we were about to walk out at graduation. And I don't know, I got like carried away. I'm like, we're about to graduate and you can't really do crazy shit in the real world after this. And you got to have fun in high school while you can. And I wasn't really going to spray it. And then it sprayed and it shot all over the substitute teacher.
Wow.
And then I spent the whole graduation ceremony sitting there thinking I was going to get arrested like in front of all the parents and all the students. I thought they were going to come in and just take me away in handcuffs. And I thought I'm not going to graduate.
One of these animals sitting here was suspended from school for decorating the inside of his school locker with extremely graphic pictures of naked women.
All right. Well, then I got to say
insane.
that's Sal.
Yeah, it's Sal. You're right. Very good.
Robin, you're creeps, man. You're good.
Sal, you didn't know not to do that?
I figured, Howard, if it was in the inside of my locker, no one would see it.
When they say graphic, like what was in your locker? What was glued in there?
Not like Playboy centerfolds. These were like those off magazines like Plumpers and Cherry, where the girls would have their heads pinned behind their legs, and their vagina lips were stretched out like silly putty. Real graphic. And
Jeez.
Probably like grannies, too.
yeah, like someone's like were bent over with their ass cheeks spread open so you see the full butthole. I love those pictures, so...
It was your interest. You were just putting in your locker your interests.
I had to leave class because I forgot my English book, and there's always a school monitor in the hallways. Usually another teacher is off for that period. And I opened the door, the locker door, and all of a sudden I heard, stop right there. And she walked over. I was like, holy shit. And I reached for the pictures on the locker, and she stops my hand. She goes, don't rip them off. Take them off by the corners, nice and slow. So I had to peel them off. She folded them up. She gave them to my school principal. He checked them out. He folded them up, and he mailed them to my house, and I was suspended for a day.
Sal never learned his lesson because remember, Sal used to take porno magazines out of Glom and he'd hide them inside a newspaper and go to the bathroom at work.
You used to go across the street to jerk off, too.
Oh, yeah. I used to go to McDonald's and stop at Sbarro's.
That's
At
fine.
McDonald's at Sbarro's.
Stop at McDonald's.
I'd get the napkins, and I'd go into
Do you get hot when you pass a McDonald's when you see those arches?
Oh, it brings back the memories, Robin.
Robin, I remember the exact McDonald's on 57th Street where Sal used to do that. Every time I would go by it, I'm like, that's where Sal jerked off.
All right, here's another one for you.
Oh, my goodness.
This guy's so nutty, he threw his desk, his chair, and then himself out a second-story classroom window.
Well,
So
that's got to
serious.
be Mike then. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's Mike. Fucking nut job.
I won't be wrong twice.
What the fuck is wrong with you? What do you mean? What happened?
I did it a few times. At first, I did it just to kind of make the class. I did it just to make the class laugh or whatever. And then I would just start doing it just to ditch class. You go in, you get your attendance taken, then I would just go right out the window.
Mike.
Yeah.
You're in you're in a classroom. You pick up your chair and you throw it out the window. And it's a second-story window. It could have landed on someone's head, but you didn't.
Well, no, I
put
looked. I made sure nobody was.
I looked. I didn't care.
The class is watching. Everyone's laughing. The teacher doesn't know. And I said, you know what? I'll take it to the next level. And I just went right out after that.
Second floor, there's concrete down there. And I mean, do you land on your feet or do you you just drop and roll?
I went to the. I landed on my head. It was like wood chips, I think, at the bottom.
Wood chips.
I ate some wood chips.
I'm telling you, everybody I hire here pretty much has this kind of background. I don't really go after that Harvard Lampoon crowd like Letterman did or Conan, certainly. They intimidate me, those guys. I'm more comfortable with guys who throw themselves out the window and jerk off in Spanish class.
We got Nassau community here.
Yeah. What did you do? I jerked off in my pants in front of my class. Okay. Tell me more about
my
yourself.
top guy.
I lit my
That's
school
top
on
guy.
fire.
Here's a 20-year career. Thank you.
You're hired.
I'm like, that's pretty funny. You're a funny guy.
Shit my pants.
Howard, literally, when you hired me, I was sleeping on the floor of my storage unit, and cockroaches used to wake me up because they crawl over my face.
Yeah,
I was
I'd say,
vomiting.
You're hired. That's right.
I'd say to Robin, there's a guy I think is going to be loyal to me. I can't imagine anyone else hiring him.
Hey, it's 17 years so far.
This guy on our staff was constantly late to school, so he forged letters from his mom to excuse his tardiness. It ended when he was called down to the school office where his mom sat with over 25 of his forged letters. Who's that?
Chris.
Nah, it's Gary. Gary Dell'Abate.
Gary did that?
Yeah, he's a liar.
I'm the first one here who hasn't jerked off in school.
What a scumbag you
Just
are,
a
Gary.
fraudster.
Yeah.
But, I don't mind the other stories. Yours is the most disturbing. A guy wants to throw himself out the window. That's an entertainer. There's a guy who's got show business in his blood. He's looking at the group and going, what can I do to make these people get through their drudgery? But you're lying. I mean, you're forging. You're committing forgery
I
in high
always
school.
And
think
late.
of Gary as the guy who draws within the lines. That's crazy to me that you did that.
Another time in my life, Robin, when it was, here's the thing. My dad used to leave for work first thing in the morning. I never even saw him. My dad was not very involved in day-to-day operations. I think he spent the bulk of his time at work trying to figure out how to fake his own death. So it was me and my mom, and she didn't get up. She never got up, right? So I would always sleep through the alarm. I don't mean this in a bad way, but I think my mom was kind of medicated, so I would ask her to sign these
Nothing
notes
bad
for me.
about that.
No, and then at one point, Robin, I kid you not, at one point, I was putting the pen in her hand and moving it while she was in bed because she was so out of it. So then I just figured, well, I was moving her hand, so I was practically doing it anyway.
Let me ask you something.
And so
you mean you would write a note and then say, Mom, you need to sign this, and then she was so whacked out on her meds that you would just put a pen in her hand and move her hand for her?
I did
That's
that
fucking
several
awesome.
times.
That is an awesome story.
Because in my
That's
mind,
fantastic.
technically, she was still signing it.
That's amazing.
This pervert had sex in the school bathroom, who do you think that is?
Well, then it's got to be Chris.
Yeah, of course. Well, that doesn't surprise. What, some dude blew you in the bathroom?
I blew the dude.
Were you openly gay in high school, or were you still
that's
closeted?
the thing. I mean, I probably was giving off vibes, and so was this guy. But no one was really out, so it was hard to sort of meet up and figure out if you could be with somebody. I remember one day he kind of like pinned me up against my locker and said, like, you know, we're gonna be together. We're gonna have fun. And I thought,
Really?
okay, well, cool, because that just made things easier. That broke the ice. I said, great.
Yeah.
Weeks later, we were at some party and he blew me. And it was the first time I'd ever been blown. And he's blowing me. And I'm like, this is like, you know, a very weird sensation, but I'm digging it. Halfway through it, he just gets up and leaves. And I didn't know why. He goes, I'll be back. Okay. So I'm
Well, you're
sitting
taking
there and like,
forever.
we're in a basement, right? So I feel like the cool air sort of hitting my cock. And I'm like, wow, this is like a weird sensation. But it starts getting cooler and cooler, like almost like a menthol type situation. So I pull my foreskin back. He left his chewed up gum inside my foreskin, like smeared to the head of my cock. And
Do
to
you
this
know
day,
that
I
guy's
have
name?
no
Because I
idea
want to
why.
hire him for the show. If, you're telling me the first blowjob you got, the guy left his gum in your foreskin?
Yeah, and took off.
Here's Richard's thing.
Yeah, what did Richard do?
He brought 2 6-foot snakes to school and let them loose in the hallway right before class let out. That seems like something Richard would
Finally,
do.
something funny and not
Right.
criminal.
Thanks, Robin.
Something lovely.
It was hilarious.
Bunch of weirdos. But I love all of you.